back-to-back winning days. We've needed that here on the channel like air. Oh man, hopefully we can keep the momentum going again today. NBA All-Star break is over, so I'm going to have a player prop for you guys in a loaded NBA slate. And yes, we do have some college basketball on the way. We're going to get into all of it today. This is the free three. Let's get into these best bets.
I love it, Noble. Noble, I also love your YouTube videos. I watched them while I was gone. That was fire.
But getting paid because yesterday we had a full sweep. Mike going under, that was just icing on the. Why are we gonna go in such a weak AFC South? Unless we have the NBA Blowout Association.
Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead with 13 seconds.
When you hear the sirens, you know what that means.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
What is up, my people? It is your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make that money. Although we can't hit the horn like we do on the sweep, you know what? I'm just going to clap it up. I'm just going to clap it up because we've had back-to-back winning days on the channel. If you guys have been with us since the beginning of the month of February, then you know it's been a little bit of a rough stretch for us over here, losing games on the hook, losing money line parlays by just one team, but we've been able to string together a few winning days, and hopefully today we can keep the momentum going. Now, I know you guys see the USA hat on. I know it's USA Soccer, but hockey, soccer, I mean, they're not the same, but they're both global sports, and today the USA Hockey men's team is in the finals of the Nations Cup or whatever, the Four Nations. I don't know everything about it. I don't know a whole lot about hockey. You guys know that. But I will be taking a little bit of a small sprinkle on the USA boys today. We're going to come out there. We're going to throw some fists. We're going to get into it. And you know what? I mean, go USA, right? Boo Canada. So let's see what we can do on the hockey side of things. But before we talk about our plays for today, let's recap how we did yesterday because, like I said, we've needed a few winning days here on the channel to get us in the right direction, and we were able to do that yesterday. 2-1 officially on the channel, but I added an extra play, so we went 3-1 yesterday. You can see that right here, and let's dive into the specifics of the card of how we did yesterday. Our only loss on the day came against UNCG, and you know what? I'm not mad when your only loss is your plus 100 bet because, I mean, we don't lose too much juice. We don't lose too much on that. So UNCG, they kind of fell apart late. They lost against ETSU. SMU against Notre Dame. I told you SMU was a hammer spot. I did not understand the line. And guess what? SMU gets the W. We cash that. We take that to the bank. We also took DePaul's team total under 65.5. I thought it was a no-sweat bet after looking at the first half where they only scored like 20 points. But they started scoring a whole lot of points in the second half and I got a little bit nervous down the stretch. But we were still able to cash in DePaul team total under 65.5. St. John's defense continues to do what it does. And then I added a three-way parlay. UNC on the money line, Boise State on the money line, Kentucky on the money line. This is what I'm looking for. All double-digit wins for both of these, all three of these teams, really. No sweat bet there, plus 170. So I added that money line parlay a little bit later on action. Again, all my plays are at Noble Living on action, so make sure you guys are following that if you want some of the added plays that we have throughout the day. So officially 3-1 yesterday, 75% hit rate, 60% ROI. You can't beat that. If you're having days like that, then trust me, we are going to be running up the bag here on this channel. So I do appreciate everybody who's shown love and support over the channel over the last few weeks, over the last few months. I greatly appreciate it. We're almost at 1,500 subscribers. I need you guys to help me get there. So all you need to do is drop a like and sub to the channel if you're not already. And if you are, then drop a comment. And if you drop a comment, then guess what? If we sweep the board, I'm paying you. If we sweep the board, I'm getting Venmo, Cash App, somebody some money for us sweeping the board. We haven't had one of those just yet this month, but we're right around the corner. We've been so close, but I just appreciate all the love and support. Let's help us get to 1,500 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. All right, I'm done yapping. Let's get into these games for today. A nice slate that we have in the NBA and also college basketball. My goal is to take it a little bit light, so let's see what we're getting into. All right, first best bet of the day. Let's look at the NBA card. A few good games that we have on today. Celtics and 76ers, Grizzlies and Pacers. We've got the Clippers and Bucks, Hornets and Nuggets, Suns and Spurs. A 9-game NBA slate. Lakers are playing on a back-to-back coming off of the All-Star break. Talk about bad luck. And we saw them lose last night as well. I mean, is Luka and LeBron? I don't know. But one game I'm going to look at is this Orlando Magic and this Atlanta Hawks game. Now, the Atlanta Hawks, obviously being the home team, well, they're not my home team, but I'm living in Atlanta, they're the home team. I watch a lot of the Atlanta Hawks. I keep up with them. I actually play basketball with a guy who works for the front office, and I don't understand what they do. Like, they just make a lot of head-scratching moves, such as trading away DeAndre Hunter, one of the best young players in the league right now, coming off the bench. He was a Six-Man of the Year candidate, and they trade him away to the competitor in the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, it's a great pickup for the Cavs, bad for the Hawks. I guess maybe the Hawks are throwing in the towel this season, because if you look at some of the injuries that the Hawks have had to deal with this season, as I scroll down here real fast, you could see Jalen Johnson, truthfully one of their best players on both sides of the ball. I mean, Trae Young obviously is the offensive guy, but Jalen Johnson, he's a 19-point, 10 rebounds, 5-6 assists guy that is done for the season with the shoulder injury. Clint Capella is just coming back. But one of the things I'm really looking at in this game is the Orlando Magic. Because the Magic this season, right, if you guys have been paying attention to the Magic, they struggle offensively. We know that. And they've been trying to win a lot of games with their defense. And it works in the regular season. It really does, because, you know, some teams are just not trying to play defense in the regular season. AKA Tom Thibodeau's teams, they do really good in the regular season, and then come playoff times, they flame out. I don't know what the Magic are going to do come playoff time if they don't figure out the offense. But I believe that this offensive break, or excuse me, this All-Star break, was the time that they could really take a few extra days, not only to rest and recover, not only to get healthy, like Paolo and Franz, who came back from injury, but they could have used a few extra days. Same thing with Jalen Suggs. I think with this team, they had to spend an extra time really understanding where their offense is going to come from and how they're going to compete in the NBA, where you have to score 110, 120 points sometimes per game to be competitive. So when you look at the team total for this game, it's pretty interesting, because the Magic's team total for this game is at 112. You never see team totals this high for the Magic. They're typically 101, 105, 103. 112 is a very high number. So because it's a very high number, what the books are telling me here is that the Hawks' defense is god-awful. We know that. They give a ton of points. And that also they expect the Magic to score points. Well, if they expect the Magic to score points, there's only two guys that's going to score the majority of the points on this team. It's either Franz Wagner, or it's going to be Paolo Banchero, or it's going to be both. Well, you guys know what probably I'm going to lock in today. Paolo, over 23.5 points. We're locking that in as our first best bet of the day. Let me go here. 23.5. You can see we can get this for minus 125. Not too bad to win one unit. Let's lock that in. Now, like I mentioned, the Hawks defense, god-awful. Paolo, we know he's their number one scorer. 23.5 points. That's kind of actually a low line for him, considering the fact that this is a guy who was an all-star last year, and we've seen him drop 50-plus points on several occasions in his young NBA career. But when we also look at Banchero's history against the Atlanta Hawks specifically, he's had a lot of success against this team. Back on February the 10th, literally 10 days ago, he had 31 points in 33 minutes on 10 of 22 shooting. You love to see that. Back earlier this season on the 17th of January, he had 26. 10 days before that, he had 35 points. Earlier in November, he only had 17, but you can see that so far this season, he's gone over this number in 3 straight games on about 42% shooting. This was 8 of 25, but he's still got a lot of volume. He's shooting a good amount of threes, 4 of 9, 1 of 5, 4 of 7. And again, you just had 6, 7, 8 days to rest and recover and come back and be at full strength. So he didn't play in the All-Star weekend this year. He didn't play in Rising Stars. He didn't play in the Saturday game, in any of the Saturday things. He didn't play on the All-Star game on Sunday. So Paolo should be fully rested. He should be ready to go. And against a Hawks team that, if we look at how they rank against power forwards, give up the most points per game to power forwards. You can see this here on Fantasy Pros. Number one team in the NBA, giving up points per game to the power forwards. With the rest, with the lack of defense that they have, with the shot volume that Paolo's going to give them, I like Paolo over 23.5. We're locking that in as our player prop of the day. Now, we're going to go to the college basketball slate for the remaining of our 2 bets. And the only reason why is because once the first day back in the NBA All-Star break, I just want to study. I just want to see what happens. I saw a lot of people on the Lakers yesterday. And guess what happened? They lost the game outright. People were on Austin Reeves heavy yesterday. And guess what happens? He got ejected. So don't manage your bankroll. Don't go crazy the first day. Let's give ourselves a little bit of time to get back into a rhythm and flow. Come Saturday, Sunday, Monday next week, we can be full-fledged into the NBA, 2, 3, 4 bets, and I'll be adding more and more to my cards as we get deeper and deeper into the season, all right? So let's go over to the college basketball slate real quick. Let's take a look at some of these games. I'm not going to lie. It's an ugly, ugly, ugly board today. A whole lot of mid-majors that are playing. We've got a few games that's worth watching if you're really like into college basketball and really want to see what certain teams are going to do. This Charleston Northeastern game should be pretty interesting there in the American East. Townsend and Elon also in the CAA. That should be a good game. Vermont and Bryant. That should be a good game there in the American East. Again, we got a lot of mid-majors. The only like big program school I think that's playing today is Ohio State and Maryland and USC. So when you got a lot of these small teams, you guys know what I like to do. Moneyline parlays, and that has been working for us, really. I haven't been really pushing them a lot on the channel over the past week because we've been a little bit cold on them, but I think today is a good situational spot. So the first one that we're going to lock in is Campbell on the money line and Eastern Kentucky on the money line. So you can see Campbell against North Carolina A&T. We're going to lock them in here. And then we're also going to do Eastern Kentucky here. And type in Kentucky, minus 335. Parlay those two together, you can see we get to about minus 108. We're just going to do minus 110 to win just over 1 unit. Now, let's look at the standings for some of these teams, okay? Real quickly. So let's go to Eastern Kentucky first. And you can see Eastern Kentucky's on the road today against a Bellarmine team that literally just picked up their first conference win last game out. They're 1-14 in the ASUN. Meanwhile, Eastern Kentucky is 11-4 in the Atlantic Sun. Let's look at the standings real fast because this is really what I'm handicapping at this point in the season. The standings matter. Eastern Kentucky, they're third right now in conference, really tied for second with only a game behind North Alabama, okay? So they cannot lose to a Bellarmine team that is 1-14. Bottom of the conference, especially when you still have a very clean shot of grabbing the number 1 seed inside of this conference. If we go over to the remaining schedule here, you can see they play Bellarmine, they play Jacksonville, and they play University of North Florida. Let's scroll back real quickly. Jacksonville is right here, middle of the pack. North Florida, same thing. This Jacksonville game is going to be big. So I get why we kind of have a short line because the blind makers are saying Eastern Kentucky is going to look ahead to the next game against Jacksonville. That game matters more. I get it. But you cannot drop this game to Bellarmine. Like I said, they're 1-14 in conference. I'm just fading them. They still have a shot to get the number 1 seed in conference or at least get a 2 seed, at worst a 3 seed. But if they fall apart down the stretch, things could get really wacky because you can see 10-5, 10-5, 10-5. You can literally go from being tied for the 2 seed all the way down to the 5th or 6th seed just because you lose 1 or 2 games. And you cannot do that against a 1-14 team. Meanwhile, if we go look at Campbell, it's a very similar situation. This is what I'm using to handicap, my friends, as we come down the stretch of the conference tournament time. North Carolina A&T, 1-13 in the CAA. Meanwhile, Campbell is 10-4 in the CAA. So again, I'm just fading the team that only has 1 conference win. And you can see Campbell, yes, Townsend is right up here at 13-1. They're actually projected to maybe lose today. And Campbell, they're still in the hunt as a top 5 seed, tied for 3rd place. So you win 1, 2 more games, you could be the 3 seed. That matters in a conference like this. And you can see North Carolina 18 is 1-13. I get both of these teams are on the road. I get, that it's tough, but I'm fading the 1-win conference teams in all honesty. And if we look again at Campbell's remaining schedule, North Carolina A&T, Townsend, UNC Wilmington, College of Charleston. Let's look at the standings real quick. Charleston, UNC Wilmington, Townsend. Talk about dictate your fate, right? I mean, you win out, you're the 1 seed or 2 seed at worst. You lose, now you drop all the way down to maybe like staying where you are at, because I mean, not really, Elon probably won't catch them, but you stay where you are as like a 5 seed, and you don't want that. So for me, both of these teams are getting a good spot before they have to play the last stretch of their season, the last 100 meters against some pretty good caliber teams. You cannot lose to 1-13, 1-14 teams in conference. That is why we're locking this in as our first parlay of the day. Now, our second money line parlay is going to be very similar analysis, and this one is 3 teams. And we're just doing 3 teams to get a little bit of better odds value. So these are the teams that I like. Utah Valley on the money line. We're going to go Little Rock on the money line. You can see these 2 teams together, they get to -160. They're not going to do too much for you. So as a result, we're just going to throw in Maryland at home against USC. That gets you to about -112 odds. Again, we're not getting all the way to +100 like we usually do, because I just want to keep it 2-3 teams. If you want to throw in a huge favorite in there, like San Fran, like UC San Diego, like UC Riverside, like UC Santa Barbara, like Santa Clara. Let me see who else is a huge favorite today that should win. I really don't want to touch this Ohio State game, in all honesty, but you could touch Ohio State. Like Troy, those are what you could do to add an extra leg or two to get you to +100. I just don't want to touch it, okay? So I'm locking in these 3 teams for 1 unit down. Let's look at some of these standings for these 3 programs super quickly. Utah Valley, they've been absolutely impressive this season in the West Coast Conference. They're 10-1 in conference. Meanwhile, Utah Tech is 2-8. But the thing about the WAC conference is this is one of those conferences where you literally have to win out or win your conference tournament and you're in. Grand Canyon, they're 9-2 on the season. Everybody expected them to be the team to beat this season in conference, considering what they did last year in the NCAA tournament. Well, this year hasn't been as successful as we're used to seeing from them, 19-6 on the year, but they and Utah Valley should come all the way down the stretch come conference tournament time, meet up for a chance to get the at-large bid. Or the automatic bid, I should say. I don't think either of these programs are going to get an at-large bid, which is kind of, it's just the way that college basketball works. Utah Valley, like I said, they're 10-1. Utah Tech, 2-8. Top team, worst team in conference. It's just the trend that we're betting today. If we look at the remaining conference schedule for Utah Valley, they have to play several more games. Seattle, SUU, which I don't remember. I think that's Southern Utah. Abilene Christian, and then Tarleton State. So if you look at real quickly, Utah Tech, Southern Utah, Abilene Christian, and then Tarleton State. All of those games they should win. So if you want to keep your foot on Grand Canyon's neck and make sure they don't catch you for a tie for first place and now it comes down to a tiebreaker, you win the game today. Don't overthink it. Utah Valley to get the win. Now, Little Rock is at home today. I know we're taking a lot of road favorites, but it's just a situational spot, okay? Little Rock is at home against Lindenwood. And if we look at the OVC, the Ohio Valley Conference, this is one of the more competitive conferences in college basketball, and you could see from a mid-major standpoint, and you could see that Little Rock right here is 11-5 in conference, tied for 3rd, but they're 1 game back against Southeast Missouri State. Meanwhile, Lindenwood, middle of the pack, 8-8, 4 games behind, not even over 500. They might put up a little bit of a fight, a little bit of competition. But again, when you look at the scheduling spot, when you look at what is at stake, you do not want to lose this game, especially at home. And you have a chance to gain a game or 2 against SIU Edwardsville, Southeast Missouri State. And the reason why I'm showing you guys some of the remaining schedules is because I want you to see what's on the line. So Lindenwood, I don't even know who WIU is. That's Western Illinois, Eastern Illinois, and then SIUE, which is the team that's right above them. So Little Rock, same thing. Talk about dictate your fate. They have a chance to win out and for sure secure the 2 seed. If not, maybe get the 1 seed if Southeast Missouri State loses one of the games. You see what I'm saying? So they literally play SIU Edwardsville, which is at the last game here of the regular season, and that could be for the number 2 seed. But you don't get that opportunity if you lose one of these 3 games here. So we're going to start with the win at home against Lindenwood. You'll probably take the win at home against Western Illinois, and then now you have to travel on the road to finish off the regular season. Little Rock is a solid team. They should be able to get it done. Let's take them on the money line. And then Maryland today at home against, who's Maryland playing again? I think they're playing, sorry, I hate when Action does that. When they, like, pull it all the way down there. Like, we don't, Let's see here. Let me scroll through real quick. Maryland is playing USC. And USC has to travel for this game. So Maryland has been good, 20-6 on the year. If I can go to KenPom for this one to give you guys a little bit more of a breakdown on this one. But Maryland, you can see that KenPom has this an 11-point loss for USC. After you lose at home to Minnesota in the way that they did after being up double digits in the first half, I mean, that's just tough to rebound from. It just speaks to the struggles that Eric Musselman's team has faced this season. Obviously, we didn't expect high hopes out of them because they had a lot of transfers. First year at the new program for Musselman, he has to take some time to get his recruits and his players in there. And now you got to go on the road. And you got a whole East Coast stretch here against Maryland and then again against Rutgers. I like Maryland here. There's a reason why they're 15th on KenPom. There's a reason why they're 20-6 on the year. They defend the home court. You can see they have not lost a single game in conference at home. Don't overthink it. Maryland, we're locking that in as our third and final best bet. All right, my friends. So 3 best bets on today's card, but really about like 8 or 9 games that we're covering. We're going to first go at Palo over 23.5 points against the Atlanta Hawks. We're going to lock that in for our first best bet. Our second is going to be a money line parlay with Campbell in Eastern Kentucky. Again, we're just taking teams that have a lot to play for and a lot on the line left in the season, and to also get better positioning and better seeding come conference tournament time. And then our third and final money line parlay, Utah Valley, Little Rock, and Maryland. Again, if you want to get a few added favorites in there to throw in there to get to plus 100, be my guest. But we're not chasing odds value right now. We're just trying to get wins so we can sweep the board. I do appreciate you guys for tapping in. We're here every single weekday, Monday through Friday, putting out picks and plays for you guys so we can continue to crush the sports books together. I appreciate y'all, man. Hit that subscribe button and make sure you comment and like on the video as well, because if we sweep the board and you hear this air horn, then that means that somebody's going to be getting paid, and hopefully that can be tomorrow. So I do appreciate y'all, and as always, dictate your fate, get to that cheddar. It is your boy Noble Living, and I'll see y'all in tomorrow's video. Later, gang.